Hey everyone, Golden Ninja 3000 here again. Today I'm reviewing LEGO Harry Potter set number 76444, Diagon Alley Wizarding Shops. This set has 2,750 pieces. It comes with 12 printed nano figures, and it retails for $200 US. It was released on January 1st, and I really love this set. I'm a big fan of microscale builds in the LEGO Harry Potter range because I do think it's kind of the only way to capture the full scale of large locations like Hogwarts Castle or Diagon Alley. And it's really cool that this is basically just a full-sized version of that microscale Diagon Alley gift with purchase set we got in 2018, which I still think is one of the best LEGO gift with purchases ever. The instruction manual compares this set to the Hogwarts Castle and Grounds set from 2023, but really it's a lot more comparable to the 2018 Hogwarts Castle, which was in this similar nano figure scale. The 2023 set was even smaller scale than this. It's like ultimate micro scale. But I really love this set because you get the complete street, all the way from the Leaky Cauldron and even the Night Bus to iconic places like Madame Malkin's, and you have quality Quidditch supplies. You've got Eeylops Owl Emporium, some shops that even I don't know about. You, of course, have Gringotts with the Ukrainian Iron Belly Dragon, Borgin and Burke's, Ollivanders, Florian Fortescue's Flourish and Blots, and Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. So you get every iconic Diagon Alley shop. I'm not sure if this is like actually 100% everything that's in the alley in the movies. I'm sure it's not, but it is all of the most important shops and the smaller ones that you don't necessarily think of first, like even Scribulus there next to Ollivander's. I also just visited Universal Studios Orlando, so I got to see the theme park version of Diagon Alley up close and personal. So this is very exciting to me because I do kind of feel like this is based on the theme park version, the most glaring indicator of which is that the Ukrainian Iron Belly is perched on top of Gringotts. It was like that in the big direct-to-consumer Gringotts set from 2023 as well, but that's something that was originated at Universal Studios Florida. It's not something that ever happened in the movies because the dragon just like got on top of Gringotts and flew away. He didn't like, sit there posing up and breathing fire down onto everybody. That is the theme park convention. A cool thing about this set is that it splits into multiple different sections for ease of building and transport, which is very helpful. So you have a couple of seams, which I will try to show you. It's kind of far away from my camera, but you can split it apart right here. Over there by Gringotts, and then splits over there as well. So you can't really see all 5 sections the best. That was a little bit of a reach. But yeah, you do have 5 different sections. You kind of have 2 long sections flanking either end, 2 medium-sized sections, and then 1 section just for Gringotts. So we are going to go in build order, and that means starting with the Leaky Cauldron, Magical Menagerie, Madame Malkin's, and Quality Quidditch Supplies. So that is from left to right, and I'm sure you can kind of tell by the signs. Madame Malkin's is very easily identifiable thanks to its purple color scheme. Quality Quidditch Supplies is as well because it's got the snitch and the Quidditch hoops outside. This is not pink though. The building was pink in the big Diagon Alley set from 2020, but it hasn't been pink in, I think, any of the other representations we've seen of it so far. I think Quality Quidditch Supplies is part of the Diagon Alley expansion we're getting this summer, like for the minifigure scale sets, and it's not pink either. This one isn't. I don't think it was pink in that 2018 gift with purchase, so I kind of wonder why the only place it's pink is in that 2020 set. But anyway, this is like the first Leaky Cauldron we're ever getting in LEGO form, so that's very exciting. I also love how you kind of have like a little bit of normal London street out here. You do have this little night bus build, which I think looks fantastic. It's very easily recognizable, of course, and it just kind of fits in on a couple of these stamp pieces, and that is the doorway to the Leaky Cauldron. I'm also thrilled to see that there are full interiors on all of these builds. I love interior details, even when they are nanoscale, and so this is really nice to see. I guess we should just start by taking a quick look at the interior details. So starting off with the Leaky Cauldron, you do have a couple of tables. You've got like a chandelier hanging. I don't know what this doorway is. Maybe this is supposed to be the doorway that actually leads into Diagon Alley, like through the brick wall and everything. And yes, it is, because it is connected to the archway from the other side. So that's cool. I like that you can kind of like see how the minifigures would get around. And then moving up a level, you do have some interior detail on the second floor. I think that's supposed to be an owl, because that's the piece that are used for owls in the Eeylops section. But other than that, you just have like more tables and chairs. Moving into the magical menagerie, I like that this one just kind of has like a tall first floor. So you have this I don't know what color is that supposed to be, a magenta frog? I don't know, but that's a new color for the frog piece to me. I'm not sure if it is actually new. But then I think these are supposed to be like kind of huts or like little houses for some animals. You do have like a leaf growing on the wall, and you've got like these little spout pieces. So I like how tall that interior is. And then on the upper level, you just have like some more animal houses, I guess. I don't know what that sand green stud is supposed to be, but I like the chocolate frog card you have up here. That's a great little hidden detail. And then for Madame Malkin's, this one's a little bit harder to see in because it's got lower ceilings than most of the shops, but you do have a nice little mirror there that's like a flat silver piece. You have some cloth hanging from the ceiling, another sofa. You've got like both entryways back there. And then again, you've just got some more cloth details on the side. And then on the upper level, which hopefully you guys can see this detail. It is kind of hard to notice here, and I keep breaking off the night bus, but you just have some more tables and chairs, and then even more like just cloth and like clothing detailing around the shop. The interior of Quality Quidditch Supplies is probably the easiest to see at this scale. You've got broomsticks on the walls, which I like that they're colored. Like they have the green and the blue for Ravenclaw and Slytherin, but unfortunately there are no red and yellow ones for Hufflepuff and Gryffindor. But you do have broomsticks on either wall. And then on the upper level, you have what I'm guessing is a mannequin, because it's like a gold nano figure. And then you've also got like pennants and stuff hanging on the walls. Swinging back around to the front, I like the way the shop fronts have been constructed. Again, Madame Malkin's is very easily recognizable. You have the gold scissors outside. You have like the iconic round windows. I also really love this brand new print just for this set. It's got this M on it in this case, but I think it's really clever what the designers have done. They've just repeated that print around the rest of the set and just turned it like 90 degrees or 180 degrees. So it can be an M, an E, a W. I think that that's really great. I also like the print that you have in the Quality Quidditch Supplies windows that's used in a couple of places. And so it's nice to see that the designers have created these prints that can be reused. And then as for like the other shop signs, they just use like plates and tiles with no printing, but that looks perfectly fine. And then here are our first couple of nano figures. So you have Madame Malkin standing outside her shop. She looks fantastic. And then you have Ron Weasley outside of Quality Quidditch Supplies. He and Ginny are the same color, so I think it's easy to mix them up. But I love printed nano figures. They were a huge surprise for me with this set, because we didn't get nano figures in the 2023 Hogwarts Castle and Grounds set, which again made sense because that set was so small in scale. But it's just, we haven't seen printed nano figures in a Microscale licensed set since I think 2018 with that Hogwarts Castle set. So it's really nice to see them return, and you do get an extra of every single one of them in this set, which was another fantastic surprise. Our next section up has the most unfamiliar stores to me. We've got Eeylops Owl Emporium, which is well known, of course, but then you've got Slug and Jigger's Apothecary, Mr. Mulpepper's Apothecary, and then Pottage's Cauldron Shop. So the two apothecaries, I remember hearing about Slug and Jiggers. I've never heard about Mr. Mulpepper's, so that's very interesting to me. But they look good. The apothecaries are pretty much built exactly the same. They have like the kind of masonry brick style detailing, and then there are more of those printed windows. I really like the exterior for Eeylops because it's got that unprinted owl, and then again that printed sign piece turned at a 90-degree angle. And it's the same for Mr. Mulpepper's. It's got the M right there, so I love seeing that. And then Pottage's Cauldron Shop does have a couple of cauldrons sitting outside on the pavement. I do think there could have been more with that. Like, I think there's supposed to be like towers of cauldrons, like falling over each other in Diagon Alley. So I wish that we had like just one cauldron tower over here. But I do really love the glass piece being used as a sign up here. And then the one nano figure I have outside this section is Lavender Brown. And I'm going to sound greedy for a second. I wish we had even more nano figures. We get 12 in this set, and again, there's duplicates of each, so you kind of have 24 in total. But a lot of them, or I think all of them actually, are named characters, and I wish we had a couple more people to run the shops, because there's no one to run any of these 4 shops, and we didn't get Florian Fortescue for his ice cream parlor. So I really would have loved like just 1 or 2 nano figures that could have been running these shops, and then I really would have wanted to get Florian, since we do have a minifigure or 2 of him. The interior of this section is a little bit more chaotic. It's kind of deeper than the last section we looked at, which is interesting. I really love how varied and unique they are. But starting off with Eeylops, this is the piece that I was referring to being used as an owl, because there's nothing else they could be. And then I love the white tiles that are used as the owl droppings. And then you just have like kind of stacks of stuff on the top level. And then like, I guess this is kind of like the owl homes, like their little cubbies, just like we saw in the Magical Menagerie. So it's a pretty detailed interior considering how tiny it is. But even more detailed is the interior for the apothecaries. They're very similar, like they both have these kind of desks topped with gold ingots. They have these lights coming down from the walls, at least I think they're lights. You've got like this kind of upside down blue piece and then a green one back there. And you have little chairs. So maybe these are just supposed to be living areas, or maybe they're like administrative offices for the workers. But on the bottommost level, I like the detail you have with like the flower petals on the wall. And then you also have a couple of printed book page pieces. And so I think that that adds a lot to these interiors. And then finally, down at the end, we have Pottage's Cauldron Shop. On the upper level, we have some boxes, and then I guess that's just 1 cauldron there on the ground. And then I can't tell what that is like up on the wall. Like you just have like these 1x1 stud with bar pieces, but I'm not exactly sure what they're supposed to be. And then on the ground level, you have what appears to be a checkout counter for the shop. And then you also have another book page up on the wall with an image of a cauldron. But yeah, it's a little bit light on actual cauldrons. I guess that's another one there. But I would have liked to have seen more cauldron pieces, as in like the 1x1 hollow studs in here. And then the last thing is that this area actually has a little bit of roof detailing as well. You have a little garden with a couple of tulips up there, and so I like seeing that there is a little bit of roof detail. Now we arrive at what may be everyone's favorite section of Diagon Alley. It's Gringotts Bank, complete with the Ukrainian Iron Belly dragon, who looks great. I mean, it is a microscale dragon, so it's not like he's got visible eyes or anything. But I really love the build, and I absolutely love the huge flame that he's spitting out. I think it is comically oversized. I mean, like, you can remove him quite easily, so I'm just going to take him off. But that flame alone is the size of, like, an entire floor of Gringotts. But this is a nice little mini build. You can kind of move his feet, and then his body is hinged in the center, and so is his head, as are the wings. So you can get some nice poses with this thing, but for now I'm going to take it out so that we can focus on the building. And the building itself looks fantastic. I mean, it is a great mini rendition of Gringotts. You have the iconic columns, the balconies, the entryways. Unfortunately, they aren't tilted like they are in the movie, but I'm sure that would be difficult to do at this scale, so I'm not upset by that. I love the little side entrances. This side is where you enter Gringotts for the ride in Universal Orlando. You also have like this little wall at the end, but it's not a full building. Like there's no interior there. There's no like entryway or anything either. So it's just kind of the suggestion of a building. You do have another doorway back there and then a little staircase. And then there is that like white archway off to the side. I am not sure what this little sub-assembly next to Gringotts is. This is kind of like an open air section. Maybe it's like a market stall or something. I don't think the instruction manual called out what it is. I do like this street lamp build though. This is found all over the set and I think it is a pretty nice little mini build. I also like the lanterns up on the side of the building. And I did put the Harry Potter nano figure up front here. He looks great. I really like the printing on him, but I kind of wonder if a blue nano figure would have worked a little bit better because I feel like I'm just so used to seeing Harry Potter like in that casual blue jacket. Coming around to the interior of Gringotts, this one is probably the most simplistic. You do have the whole atrium that you see in the movies and in the theme park and everything. You have a little chandelier that's just connected with a flickfire missile, so I think that that's pretty clever parts usage. There's a little suggestion of like being able to access the balcony over there. And then you have a couple of the Goblin Teller's desks. Sorry, I think my focus is a little bit all over the place when it comes to these tiny dark interiors. But I like the printed galleon on top of that teller's desk, and you do have two other teller's desks inside, but that's it. It is quite a sparse interior, and it makes sense because there's not a lot of room in there. It's microscale, it's angled, they've done the best they could, but I do feel like the interior is lacking a little bit on the biggest buildings in this set, and this is one example of that, because even with this tiny interior, I feel like we could have gotten one more row of desks in there. I guess you can't put bricks on those studs, they would crash into each other, but I don't know, I feel like there was a way to squeeze in more than just one row of goblin desks, and you do have a little bit of detail up at the top of Gringotts. This is where that flickfire missile piece for the chandelier attaches, but then you just have these orange pieces. I don't know what they're supposed to be, but I feel like this was a missed opportunity to just put like oodles of gold at the top, like we saw in the direct-to-consumer set, where the top area just had like a bunch of gold hidden around the corners. Next up, we start to break from canon a little bit, I think, because we have Borgin and Burkes followed by Scribulus and Ollivanders. Now, I thought that Ollivanders was on the left side of Scribulus and that they butted up to the bank, basically. I don't think Borgin and Burkes is supposed to be here, especially not such a prominent part of the street because it is part of Nocturne Alley. So on the one hand, I'm like, hey, it doesn't really belong, but then as a Harry Potter fan, I'm like, I'm glad they squeezed it in because these buildings are done really well, and when else would we get a microscale Borgin and Burkes? It has a very unique facade, I will say that. So I really love like the side of the building where you have like these jumper plates that are offset by half a stud, kind of like sticking out. And then I really love this entryway, like with the transparent green pieces and the transparent orange. It just adds a really nice, unique flair to Borgin and Burkes. It's also like much darker and kind of more brutalist in architecture than the rest of Diagon Alley. And I do have Mr. Borgin himself standing out there. I'm really glad that we got a nano figure of him because that's the kind of obscure character I like to see represented in nano figure form in a big set like this. But this also just makes the absence of Florian hurt even more for me. I have Hermione standing outside of Scribulus because of course she's shopping for school supplies, and I already have other people outside of Flourish and Blots. But Scribulus looks great. I've honestly come to like it a lot. I first found out about it with the 2020 Diagon Alley Lego set, but I love it now because I like that it's just a small little shop. I like the dark tan and blue color scheme, and honestly, a magical stationery shop sounds like where I'd like to spend my time. Then we have Ollivanders, which is becoming quite an iconic storefront since we've seen it represented multiple times in Lego form by now. I love the use of transparent yellow minifigure heads for like the top columns. I think that that is very clever. Mr. Ollivander himself is standing outside and is instantly recognizable in that dark red outfit that we've definitely gotten a minifigure or two of before. And I really love the way his sign was done because it is just one of those stud with bar pieces and it looks like an O. It looks like his sign. So I think that that is very clever parts usage. And there isn't a lot of detail on the roofs of these sets, but you do have like that kind of little cutout space on the top of Ollivanders. Coming around to these interiors, Borgin and Burkes has another kind of large size interior because it goes up over 2 levels. I particularly love the staircase. I think that that has been done very well, just using one of those kind of minifigure track elements. And then there are some recognizable things in here. I don't know what this transparent box at the top is, but that is clearly the vanishing cabinet. It's gray instead of brown, but the shape is still recognizable. I like the little jewel on the ground. And then in the window, you have like a white nano figure, and then you do have Draco Malfoy's Hand of Glory, which is lavender, but I also really love the windows. You have like trans orange 1x1 tiles to represent the windows up there, and light does come in through that graded window on the front. So I actually think that Borgin and Burkes has one of the best interiors in this set. Moving over to Scribulus, this one has like the more traditional 2-story interior. I love the quills all over the place. That is definitely needed. You also have some like giant ink pots and just some shelving. And then on the second level, you have more quills and ink pots and like just some tables and chairs and a clock on the wall. So there is a nice amount of detail in there. Ollivanders, on the other hand, has let me down just the tiniest bit because I think that its interior looks really cool. I love all of the different colored studs that suggest the wand boxes. And again, it has like that double height interior, which is accurate. You have a ladder up there. You have Ollivander's desk. And yeah, like the place is covered in multicolored wand boxes, which is all well and good. But I think there was a missed opportunity to do more. Like, for example, why don't we have the half stud offset that you see in Borgin and Burke's, like with the jumpers that kind of stick out the front and stick out on the inside? Why wasn't that done with the wand boxes? Because it's a key feature of Ollivander's that the wand boxes just kind of stick out and they're very haphazard. So I really would have liked to see that. I would also love to see a moving ladder. That's another key feature of Ollivander's, is like the sliding ladder. And this one is just static. I feel like it wouldn't have been that difficult to do a sliding ladder, especially on the taller level. And so I really wish that we saw like just a little bit something more, because it just looks too neat to me for Ollivander's shop. And there is just like the smallest little thing at the top here. I don't know what this is. It's just like a triangular pyramid piece. I would like to think it's one of the boxes from his French competitor, Cosme Akajor, because I just visited her shop in Epic Universe, and she has triangular-shaped wand boxes, but I don't know if the LEGO designers knew about that when they started designing this, so I doubt it's a reference to that, but that's just what I'm going to believe. And now we come to our final stretch of 4 shops. On the left, we have Wiseacre's Wizarding Equipment, we have Florian Fortescue's Ice Cream Parlor, Flourish and Blots, and then, of course, Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. I think this might be my favorite street section just from the outside. It has 4 iconic shops. I think it has a little bit more visual interest because you've got that kind of alleyway over there. And then it also has a fake London building. And I really love this. Like, this is just like a regular Muggle building. And that's so that when you kind of close up the alleyway, it looks like just a regular street on either side. So I love that. I really like just this kind of false facade. We also have a printed piece saying that this is Diagon Alley and a red phone box. Maybe that'll take you to the Ministry of Magic. Over here, you can also see a couple more of those exclusive tiles used for the Weasley's Wizarding Wheezes sign. I don't know why there's only 2 W's. It's true that like Madame Malkin's only has 1 M, but Weasley's Wizarding Wheezes could have had 3 W's, or I feel like it should have just had 1, like Eeylops and Madame Malkin's. Because I'm like, does it stand for Weasley's Wizarding or Wizarding Wheezes? I guess it stands for Wizarding Wheezes. But yeah, anyway, just something I was thinking about. Weasley's Wizarding Wheezes looks good on the whole. Of course, that iconic color scheme looks great. I like the use of the actual Fred and George head from the regular Harry Potter sets with minifigures. And you do have, you know, like some iconic things. You've got like the balloons, you have the guy, right, with the arms. But I don't love that he can't wear his hat, and it doesn't look like he just took his hat off either. Like the angle at which he's holding the hat is not correct at all. He should be holding the hat at basically like this kind of angle, or even a little bit higher up to make it look like he just took it off his head. I don't know how you could do that. I mean, I guess you could just leave it like that, and that makes it look a little bit better. But I just wish that a higher angle had been achieved for the hat, because the way that you put it on in the instruction manual just isn't really faithful to how it's supposed to be, and now I've broken it. Meanwhile, down that little alleyway, this is where Nocturne Alley is in the direct-to-consumer set, so I don't know if that's actually 100% accurate. But if it is, I mean, I'm still fine with Borgin and Burke's being moved out to be part of Diagon Alley. It throws off the vibe just slightly, but again, I think it makes sense. And maybe there's like a book in that alleyway for Flourish and Blots. But speaking of Flourish and Blots, it looks fantastic in sand green with a couple more nano figures. I have Narcissa and Draco Malfoy posed up outside. It was very interesting to get Narcissa in this set instead of Lucius, because I don't think we ever saw Narcissa in Diagon Alley, but we did just get a minifigure of her for the first time in 14 years, so I'm happy to get a nano figure of her too. And I accidentally skipped over the nano figures for Fred and George. They are different, so that's cool. Like, they have different printing. I think one of them has like a green tie, one of them has an orange tie, something like that. And then our last nano figure is located in front of Florian Fortescue's. It is Ginny Weasley, who looks very similar to Ron since they're both dark blue. But Florian's is, again, instantly recognizable. It's got some cool yellow, some tan, some olive green. You don't have an ice cream cone, but you do have ice cream scoops and his outdoor seating. And then Wiseacres is also recognizable to me because, again, as someone that's been going to the theme parks a lot, Wiseacres is like a feature in both the Hollywood Park and the Orlando Park. And I also really like going into there because it's full of nice, pretty gold wizarding equipment. But spinning our final shops around, we can see our last interiors. So in Wiseacres, like I said, you do have some nice gold equipment. There's also a couple of teal pieces, which is nice to see. In Florian Fortescue's, you do have just a little ice cream counter, and then I guess that's a flavor board up on the wall, which I think is a pretty nice use of 1x1 tiles. And then up top, you have his sitting area that you also saw in the 2020 set with like the same kind of couch and lamp. Unfortunately, I think his shop is the only one that really suffers from like being wall to wall with another shop because it throws off the cool yellow aesthetic of his ice cream parlor. But Flourish and Blots has a pretty cool interior, so I think it is forgivable. I love the staircase that you have. Those are just like 1x1 plates stuffed into the wall. So I think that that works really well. You do have the second level and then just a bunch of bookshelves with different colored books. Basically the exact same way that Ollivander's was done. But I really like the way the footprint of the shop has been recreated in such a small scale with the staircase and everything. That's just really cool to me. And then finally we come to Weasley's Wizarding Wheezes, which actually, much like Gringotts, I think that this interior also suffers a little bit. You have the staircase, but it's entirely the wrong color. It is purple and orange, and the stairs in the movie and the 2020 set, they are dark red, and I think they have like orange and purple and like red colored banisters, but the stairs themselves are, I think, like predominantly dark red. So I know that the color scheme of Weasley's Wizard Wheezes is purple and orange, but I think it was a miss to make the staircase purple and orange. It also just doesn't look that great to me because it's not like winding all around. It's kind of just like up this way and then up that way. It's not like going in like that tight kind of circle throughout the whole shop. And you have like all the balconies. You also have like a decent number of like tiles and stuff depicting what they're selling. So you have these tiles on the top. You have tiles off to the side. You've got the love potion in there. But like there's nothing super iconic. Like there's no decoy detonators. I think black stamp pieces would have worked perfectly for that. There's no like puking pastils that I can see. I don't know if I'm saying that word right. Or the skiving snack boxes, I think, had like this kind of color scheme with like the dark purple and orange boxes. So I just feel like the Weasley's Wizarding Wheezes interior isn't what I was expecting. It's obviously very hard to get any kind of interior detail at this scale, but when you look next door at Flourish and Blots that did such a nice staircase and the bookshelves and everything, I'm just surprised that we couldn't get like a more accurate staircase here, even in just the color scheme of dark red. So I already showed how you can display this set all in a line at the beginning of the review, but you might have noticed that Gringotts has multiple connection points on its base, and that's because exactly like the direct-to-consumer version, you can actually make this a proper alleyway. So I'm going to grab the Leaky Cauldron section and connect it over here to the Eeylops section, and then this just slots right into the front of Gringotts. It's kind of hard to line up properly, because there's not a lot of places to kind of grab Gringotts from, but then you can just do the same thing with Ollivander's and then the Weasley's Wizard Wheezes sides. And this is a pretty loose connection because it's actually made with clips and then with like the ratcheted joint pieces, which is a connection method that's been used for many years now, but it does make it a lot looser than connecting clips and bars or the ratcheted joints and the ratcheted joints. But here is the completed alleyway. I think that this is an incredible display option. It's really good if you have like a very deep shelf or something like that. But being able to do this with both the big minifigure version and with the smaller microscale version, to me, this is just perfect because it creates like a really fun environment to take pictures in. It's just a really nice look of the street because this is what it actually looks like if you visit a recreation like at the Warner Brothers Studio Tour or at Universal Orlando or just watch the movies. Like, this is how it's meant to be experienced. So displaying everything in a line definitely looks better on a regular shelf, but I'm glad that you still have this option for people with the space to display it like this. I'd like to display it like this. I'm going to try to. I'm actually moving my Harry Potter displays. It's like disconnecting from Gringotts at the end. That's why I'm pushing it around. But right now I have a big Harry Potter display on a shelf above my bed in my apartment here in California. But I have to move it because the Hogwarts Castle main tower set is just too tall to fit on that shelf. So I'm moving this to my dresser, which is where my Ninjago City used to be. So a lot of rearranging going on right now. but I think that because it's moving to the dresser, I may have room to display Diagon Alley in this configuration. I'm definitely not going to have the space to display it in a line, so hopefully my idea works out. I think that this is just a slam dunk way of displaying this set, and it just really brings it to life even more, in my opinion. Here are the extra pieces for this set. There are an absolute ton of them, and they are much more nicely arranged than they usually are in my videos, because I started putting them away into a Ziploc bag, and then I realized that I was going to make this video, so I had to pull them all out and then count them according to the Bricklink inventory of extra parts to make sure that everything was there. So that's why everything is very nicely color coordinated. But yes, there is an incredible amount of extra parts. I love all of these pieces. It might be like the most extras I've ever seen in just like a regular Lego set, but it makes sense because everything is Microscale. My favorites are a couple of the unprinted nano figures, extra pieces of those signs for the shops, and then of course, by far the best extras in the set are extra versions of all of the specially printed nano figures. It is absolutely crazy that we get an extra one of every single one of those characters. That's not something we got in the Helicarrier set or the 2018 Hogwarts set, so I'm really happy and thrilled to see that. Here's the box for this set. It's got that typical 18+ styling. At the top, you have a nice shot of the nano figures and of the alley itself. And then all the way at the back, it shows you stretched out in a line and the regular alleyway configuration and some shots from the movies. There are 5 instruction manuals for this set. Each one builds a different section of shops. And I like this new trend of showing like the back of what you're building on the back of the manual instead of just leaving it blank. The first manual has all of the fun information. And my favorite part about it is that they do give you a guide to all the shops. And so that's how I found out what a couple of these were. So to wrap things up, here is what the entire street looks like from the back. I really love this set. I think that it is a great display piece. It has detailed interiors, which is crazy in this small of a scale. But I think that this has really been executed perfectly. I don't think it's going to be everyone's cup of tea because not everyone likes Microscale builds. But I really think that this is like the pinnacle of what Microscale can achieve. Everything is very recognizable. You have some specialized prints, like with those window pieces and with that new shop sign, but pretty much everything is just brick-built detail. There are no stickers in this set. Imagine how much more detailed it would be if you did have stickers that were, like custom designed to fit the Microscale. But I like getting the brick-built detail and just reusing regular Lego pieces to bring these shops to life. The printed nano figures are a great addition. I don't think I would like this set quite as much if we didn't get all those printed nano figures, because they just really help bring the street to life, and that's why I wish we got a couple more of them. Again, I just feel like we needed Florian Fortescue, and I think we just needed a couple more shopkeepers in general, and honestly, some random witches or wizards to populate the street would have been great as well, but maybe that's asking for too much. There aren't too many more locations that the LEGO Group could realistically depict in Microscale that would be super iconic to Harry Potter, but I don't know, like I'd love to get a Microscale Hogsmeade one day. I would love to, honestly, on that kind of Universal train, get a Microscale version of Place Cachée, the new world at Epic Universe, which is like the French version of Diagon Alley. That is something too niche. I don't think that's going to happen, but I would honestly love it if we got more sets like this, maybe even in other themes. But that's it for today. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and check out my website, goldenninja3000.com, and I'll see you guys with more videos soon. Bye for now.